Hi everyone, it's me, Darlene. I am finally going to show you how I make an ice cream concoction. Very easy. I already started, so I am going to have to just explain a couple of the steps, but I think we'll get through this. I never want to record here in the kitchen because the lighting sucks, but I just moved one of my floor lamps over and I think we might be able to do this. Here's what I do. I am going to be making lemon ice cream for Derek and LaShawn. They love lemon. I've made it for them before and it was a huge hit. I start with just a Walmart vanilla bean ice cream and I'm going to add to that. I rinsed this out, believe it or not, even though I'm going to add stuff to this ice cream, it's still going to fit in here because when I mix this ice cream, a lot of air comes out. So even though I add stuff, we're going to be okay. So I just put this in a big bowl and I let it soften. Don't worry if it's like liquidy, like, you know, on the sides, whatever. That's okay because we're going to just refreeze this. I'm going to start by adding some lemon extract. I'm not one to measure, but I'm measuring just because I know some of you will say, well, how much? It depends on how much lemon flavor you want. I mean, this is just a tablespoon, like not a measuring spoon, but just a spoon. And I almost filled that, so I'm just going to throw that in like that. And it's just pure lemon extract that I get at Walmart. And now I'm just going to mix that in. Now that it's mixed, I can do the next step, but I usually like to just put it in the freezer. I take my time doing this, so I'm going to pop it in the freezer so it can freeze a little bit more and not get too soupy. As I mix things in, you know, it tends to get softer. So I'm going to pop it back in the freezer for maybe like 30 minutes. And I just put it in the freezer like this, spoon and all. I still didn't like the lighting even though I have a lamp in here, so I changed the settings. We'll see if this is better. This is a step I already did, and I'm not thrilled this time with how it turned out, but I'm just going to explain it to you. You get some lemon frosting, and maybe use like a third of this. You keep any leftovers in the freezer. And what I do is I put it in a small bowl, well, whatever size bowl you need for how much frosting you put in there, and you add powdered sugar. And you take a fork or whatever, and you just mix that all in. And you kind of want it to the consistency of like a pie crust, like you could roll it out. And you can even, you know, treat it like a pie crust. You can dust your plate with some of the powdered sugar, and then you just put your ball of dough, and then you press it down with your fingers, your hands, and mine usually fills the plate. And maybe like a quarter of an inch thick or half an inch thick. You just got to play with it. And then you put it in the freezer. And then when it comes out, you know, it can be still powdery. You don't have to mix all that in. And it'll be easier to take off the plate. But what I do after that is after I freeze it, it should be of the consistency of some, you know, like a kind of a crumble. Like if you break it, it almost has a little snap to it. This is softer, but I'm still going with it. I'm not going to warm it up and add more powdered sugar. And then you just break it like bark. I will be breaking this more. I was hoping it would freeze longer. Usually I can use it right off the plate and start breaking it up and throwing it into the ice cream. But this time I broke it up and put it back in the freezer because I was hoping it would freeze a little bit more solid. But it's still going to be good. It's going to be frozen as much as it can be, and it will be added to the ice cream and put right back in the freezer. So it's not like it's going to get really soft. So like I said, I can't remember exactly what I was calling this, but it's like a frosting crumble or something. And it's really, really good, and you can do it with any flavor. I have made so many flavors of ice cream for Derek and Skylar, and now for LaShawn too. And it's all fun, and I'll show you some more as I make them. So I'm just putting this back in the freezer for right now until I'm ready to crumble it up and mix it in. I'm taking a lunch break. Here's my lunch. It's a cut of chuck steak that I get for $3.99 a pound at a place called Gordon's Butcher Shop, I do believe is the right name. Every week they have a different cut of beef, almost every week. Once in a while they don't. different cut of beef for $3.99 a pound, and this is so good. It's like my favorite steak ever. Nice and fatty. I just slice it, toss it around in a pan with butter. I usually like it really red. I love rare. That kind of overcooked a little bit. Nah. Gonna go eat. I share this with Rocket, and it's all delicious. And if I don't eat it all, I just put the cover on and I put it in the fridge. I'll eat the rest tonight. Since my frosting crumble stuff is a little on the soft side, I'm just gonna cut up some pieces, and then I will be tossing that into the ice cream. I do not think I'll be using all that, but what I don't use, I'm just going to put right back in here and put that in the freezer for the next time. Actually, I'm going to toss this in so I have more room, and you can see that, you know, it started to freeze up a little bit, and I'm going to put these in, and I'll cut some more, and then I'll show you. I put in quite a few chunks, and then I started to stir because I forgot that I wanted to show you, and I can add more if I want, but that will probably be enough. Now I'm going to just mix this a little bit, put it back in the freezer, and then I'm going to show you what we do with 2 little lemon pies. Get 2 little lemon pies, and I'm going to use this board even though it still has the frosting stuff on it. I forgot to mention, the lemon pies are frozen. I put them in the freezer yesterday, and I only have one hand to work with, but what I do is I break off the crust around the edge, and that's going to get chopped, you know, kind of fine, and that's going to be mixed into the ice cream. So let me do this, and then I'll show you what I do with the pie. There's the crust around the edge, there's the pie, and when I put the camera down, I'll just be cutting this into pieces. I cut in that direction, and now I'll cut in this direction, and that's going in the ice cream. This is what it looks like. It's going in there. And I chopped the pie crust edge kind of fine. Doesn't have to be, you know, super fine. Do whatever you want, and I'm going to put that in, and then I'll do the same with the other pie. This is going back in the freezer. I try to push it up on the sides so it will freeze a little quicker, and then I do come and stir it maybe like every 15-20 minutes, just a little bit, because the outside edges freeze first, and I kind of like fold them in, and then I will be putting it back in the ice cream container that it came in, and I'll show you. I'm going to be putting this in this now. You don't have to keep freezing it in the bowl and, you know, like folding it over like I was explaining. I'm just doing that because it freezes quicker this way, and I need for this to be ready in like 5 hours. You can just put it all back in here when you're done, and, you know, if you have an overnight freeze, that would be great. I think with 2 pies in there, it might not fit in this. Look, it still fits. I swear I didn't take any ice cream out. It's because there's so much air in ice cream now, but and it melts pretty quick. So I'm going to put the cover on and put this in the freezer. I hope that this gives you some ideas. You can use any ingredients you want. I have come up with some crazy ingredients, and they have all been a success. And I will think of them and maybe recreate some of those that I've made before, and I will show you. It's really fun, and, you know, it's a good way to get the ice cream of your dreams. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with more soon. Bye!